Now, one of the things that is widely discussed throughout the world, and from what I've seen on the internet and various talk shows on the subject, is whether the Earth is actually hollow, along with other planets that are out there that seem to have openings at the poles. This is true for Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, Mars. There are various images out there you can search for. If you will just look, you can actually see Aurora Borealis coming from the poles of these planets. Some of these planets which have no business having an Aurora Borealis effect, so it begs the question, what is going on to cause this, and where does the Earth's Aurora Borealis actually come from? To put it in simplest terms, and this is verified, and it may be hard to believe, although it is true, once you do the work that I've done and others like me have done, you will soon find out that a lot of the things you used to think could never be deemed as real or nothing more than fiction turn out to be in fact real. And it seems that life is stranger than fiction sometimes. Let's just put it that way. The Aurora Borealis of Earth is actually coming from openings at the North and South Poles. Now, is the Earth hollow? Does it have a central sun? Does it have land masses on the inside with a central star? From what we know, there are confirmed openings at the North and South Poles of Earth. General Byrd, in the 50s, flew a mission to one of the poles. It is documented. Fleets of ships and aircrafts were taken to the pole and subsequently driven out by a fleet of UFOs or AVs. We established that there was an alien presence coming from these openings at the poles. As far as the government is concerned, we don't believe that there is a central star inside the Earth and that the Earth is hollow. However, we do believe that there are many underground passageways and an underground presence of extraterrestrial life that goes down up to 20 miles beneath the surface of the Earth, with the two poles, the North and South Poles, being the main entrances of where these UFOs and ET beings come out of. We believe that they have been there for at least thousands of years and have set up some sort of underground community. We have documented these fleets of ships coming from the poles, flying up over Mexico in the early 90s, and there is documentation on this also. There was a fleet of literally thousands of UFO disc-like saucers that were seen flying in fleets over Mexico heading toward the southern United States. Now, our Air Force, as well as the Air Force from Canada and a few other departments and countries from South America also, were scrambled to intercept these saucers, and we were able to drive these saucers back to the southern pole from which they came. We are not sure what type of weaponry they do have, what their purpose is, what they are planning, or why they are coming to the surface and flying in our airspace. That we do not know. Every time the government has attempted to send a probe or satellite in orbit to fly over the poles, it either ends up being lost, shut down, or destroyed by an unknown means. We are not sure. We believe these satellites and probes are being purposely knocked out of orbit by this extraterrestrial presence. We have sent spy planes as well as drones, the same types of drones that are used in Iraq and Afghanistan to fly over the poles. And from what we can see, the closest point at the pole right near the opening, the surrounding area for about 50 miles is completely warm. It is 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It is warm. There's vegetation. There is grass. There are mountains. It is not the horribly cold terrain that the rest of the North and South Poles are known for. You will see that once the farther that you come inland into the center where the polar opening is, the more greenery and the rapid temperature increase you will see. So there is a definite reason for the openings of these entrances at the poles. There is something that is heating those entrances and heating the surrounding area. The radius of 50 miles it's a large area, which obviously means there is something heating, and we've confirmed that the aurora borealis is coming from inside of the polar openings, which leads us to believe there is something within these poles that is causing this heat and light source to be coming out, although we are not sure. Again, we do not believe there is a central star due to the common laws of gravity. However, I have been briefed, and it's basically on a need-to-know basis. However, what I have heard is that what we know as gravity is not correct. What we have found out that gravity does not come from the mass of the planet and the gravity of the planet. What we have found that gravity is actually magnetic and is actually created through the energy of the sun, from the magnetic properties of the light coming from the sun is actually what creates gravity as we know it and holds us onto the planet. And there is documentation on this also, that any planet or moon or circular object out in the cosmos that at least has a mass and radius of 21 miles can have gravity. Now, we are still investigating exactly how this gravity works, but what we have found out is that most of these extraterrestrial crafts, or AVs, alien vehicles, do manipulate light and use our sun as well as other stars as a main source of controlling these extraterrestrial vehicles. If you will do some research on that, there is some documentation found on the internet as well as published in some books that you may have trouble finding. There are also some scientific journals that were published by some very high up scientists speaking of the effects of the sun and with regards to gravity. But I assure you that gravity does not come from the mass of the object, but does in fact come from the sun.